As Armenia heads towards a pivotal 2026 election, Samvel Karapetyan's Strong Armenia party is emerging as a key opposition force. One of the prominent voices from that party will be joining us to discuss arrests, Pashinyan's vision of peace, and their vision for the future of Armenia. So on this Conversations on Groong episode, we will soon be joined by Arega Hovsepyan from Samvel Karapetyan's Strong Armenia. And since 2020, Arega has been active in advocating for the rights of displaced Artsakh Armenians in Armenia. And now she is entering politics with Strong Armenia.
And folks, thanks for listening to our shows. We accept that as your vote of confidence, your trust that we bring you truthful reporting of Armenian news. And that is the truth. We work hard at it. There are no corporate or any government or NGO influences here. It's really just Hovig and me, our informed convictions, and our mics. And of course, our limited resources. So if you would support us by going to podcasts.groong.org/donate and become a sustaining member, or just give once or twice or many times, we would really appreciate that. Thanks for listening. Now on with the show.
Arega Hovsepyan, welcome to Groong.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Very nice to have you. Arega, so this is your first time on our show. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself so that our audience will get to know you?
Okay, for sure. I am Arega Hovsepyan. I was born in Nagorno-Karabakh, in Artsakh, in the capital, Stepanakert. I have graduated Yerevan State University, Faculty of Oriental Studies. I am Turkologist. Later, I started my work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Artsakh. Later, I had graduated the Tufts School in the Boston and came back to Armenia, continue my diplomatic career in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, this time already of Armenia. And after 2020 war, I resigned by my offer, so decided to not continue my work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and became in a position in Armenia. Now I am the member of the party of Strong Armenia. So I am a mother of two sons. So it's all.
Great. Very nice to have that background. So since last June, the Pashinyan regime has been making a pointed effort to arrest and otherwise disable any political opposition that could pose a threat to him. And we know about Samvel Karapetyan. His freedom is limited. He's under house arrest. He's the head of Strong Armenia. The archbishops, of course, were arrested. We know that as well. Literally, tens of people are currently either in pretrial detention or serving jail time for charges that are trumped up or, at best, questionable. And today, on April 27, I'm currently in the US. I was woken up by the news that legendary Artsakh intelligence officer Arthur Avanesyan, also known as Kandas, and 4 other members of Strong Armenia or supporters were arrested and accused of electoral bribery. Now, many see this as another way to limit the opposition, limit Strong Armenia, but I wanted to get your thoughts on these developments. I understand that supporters of Kandas and Strong Armenia were gathered at the courthouse today. What can you tell us, or I guess it's yesterday your time, but what can you tell us about the current status of the situation of this case and your reaction to these developments?
Yes, we start from the very important topic, actually. This is the purely political persecution regarding our friend, our team member, Arthur Avanesyan, legendary intelligence. If you hear the recordings which are published in mass media, it is nonsense, really, because the accusation is based on the words where he says that if we be elected in Armenia, we will have jobs, we will have territory, and we will have we will have salaries, home. So it is purely the campaign about which we talk these few months, which each political party says to the citizens, promise to the citizens that what will happen if they will win. So it is totally nonsense, but our party not become weaker. Contrary, we become stronger because we understand that it cannot be this situation along a lot. We should stop, we should change this situation in Armenia. These political persecutions became the ordinary things now in Armenia. Everyone already knows that it is something ordinary when you say something in the opposite opinion of this government. They will come, just bring you, and you will be in jail. This government, Nikol Pashinyan, did what Aliyev couldn't do during 30 years. Aliyev couldn't bring and arrest Arthur Avanesyan, but Nikol Pashinyan in Armenia arrested Arthur Avanesyan. It's not about them. I know that Arthur is not feared of this everything. He's prepared for this everything, what happened with him. But for me, it is it's about my dignity. I mean, our war hero, our legendary intelligence, who was our hero for our whole society. We talk about him to our children, to our kids. Now he is jailed by Armenian government. I think that only persons who is happy now is Aliyev and Nikol Pashinyan.
I was going to ask you about the accusations, but actually, shortly before this interview, I listened to it as well, and I couldn't believe my ears. Basically, people were asking, "What hope is there?" And he said, "Well, vote for us, and there'll be hope. You'll have, jobs. You'll have land." And I took it as you will have dignity. So if I ran for office in Armenia and I said, I will bring you dignity if you vote for me. Is that a bribe? Am I offering a bribe to voters? It's crazy, but we also should. I mean, the only thing we can underscore from all of this is that everyone in the opposition is under intensive surveillance. I mean, I think that will be clear to any impartial observer of the events right now, and.
Our recordings in Armenia now are totally. Everything is under recordings by special services in Armenia, by our security services, which give all these records to Pashinyan, to his team. You know what is interesting? Just a few days ago, there has been 4 years that Sona Mnatsakanyan, the pregnant woman who was killed by this cortege of Nikol Pashinyan. And so far, they can't find any recordings from this connection of these cars, which they talk by phone. What happened? They say there are no recordings. It happens that all our opposition members are under this surveillance, are under these recordings. But if it comes to the government, suddenly all recordings are disappeared.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning Sona Mnatsakanyan. I think I was able to watch the memorial held on the street where she was brutally murdered by Pashinyan's motorcade, and reading the news, and basically the statute of limitations for that crime will run out in 1 year. So in 1 year, and I mean the cynical, pardon me, and lately there are a lot of reasons to be cynical. Basically thinks that the government is waiting for the statute of limitations to run out in order for them to basically close the case.
No one so far has been punished for this incident, what happened with Sona Mnatsakanyan. No one. And of course, you are totally right when you say that after 1 year, it will be not actual question already and will be out of the date, and no one will take responsibility and will take and will be under punishment what happened. It is a tragedy. I am a mother, and to know that what happened with her, it is really very tragic for us, for women in Armenia. You know that a few years ago, me and our other women in Armenian society who is not active, who is want to their voices be heard, organized this small but very symbolic event in the streets.
Coming back to this issue of the pressure against the opposition, are you concerned that, I mean, why just arrest people? Maybe just Pashinyan will find it acceptable to also close down Strong Armenia as a political party, or prevent them from running in the elections. I mean, obviously, we can all see the risk, but what strategies does the opposition have in case this happens?
Look, now I believe that the strategy of Pashinyan is to spread fear in society, to say that don't talk, don't, even now when we are in the street, talk with the people, we feel that they want change. They want something to be changed in Armenia, but they're afraid to say that because this is the Pashinyan's policy that people, even I very often use public transport, buses, etc. I hear what people are talking about. So they are really fear to say something opposite to this government. And this is this government's strategy to spread fear. But at the same time, we also see people who want change, who who are disappointed from this government, who waited a lot for them in 2018 when this government came by hanging the flag of democracy, saying that democracy has come to Armenia, etc., etc., and they are totally disappointed and they want change, and they see alternative in us, in the new party, Strong Armenian Party. So regarding another scenarios, I should say just now for what I can say that we consider all scenarios. All scenarios are on our table, and we are ready to all of them.
Arega, you were born in Artsakh, you grew up in Artsakh, and it has been almost 3 years since the complete ethnic cleansing of Artsakh. Artsakhtsis are a strong people; they're known to be very strong, but losing a homeland and being dispersed, being separated from your community is probably very tough. And to add insult to injury, we see in the media every day how um, deliberately the Aliyev government, one after another, destroys any sign or any artifact of Armenian heritage and Christian heritage in Artsakh, or at least everything that he cannot then recast as Caucasian Albanian. You know, the old churches he's still leaving alone. But the latest one was this cathedral, the main cathedral in Stepanakert. Tell me, as an Artsakhtsi, about the experience, maybe your experience, maybe the experience of other Artsakhtsis in Armenia. Where do they live nowadays? What are their conditions? And I think this is also part of your platform, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right, but before answering to your question, I would like to have short comments regarding the destroying the churches in Artsakh. It is cultural genocide, let's say in a way which happened there. It is the cultural genocide. And this government keeps silence regarding anything regarding Armenian heritage. If another country be in their place, there should be lots of noise in international community, and many our maybe embassies will be engaged in this process regarding voicing what's happening in Artsakh. It is not about even return, it is about our identity. It is about our heritage, culture. So even in these points, what is not about return, it is not about the war, what they want, or always talk about that peace and war, etc., saying that when you talk about Artsakh, even when you say the word of Artsakh, you want war, etc. It is not about that. It is just about the culture. It's about our identity. And even now, they're afraid to talk about that. They're afraid of Aliyev, maybe, I don't know, but they're afraid to talk about that. What can we anticipate from the government who make attacks on our church, to our Catholicos? So I think that it is not surprise for all of us, for all of Armenians, their position regarding destroying the churches in Artsakh. Coming Artsakhians, what is their situation in Armenia, etc. We have almost already 15,000 Artsakhians who left motherland Armenia. And for me, each one who left Armenia is really tragedy. When they say we can't go on here, etc., I say that it's our homeland. How we can say we can't go on? But really, conditions here for them are totally not relevant. What is the situation in Armenia? All programs, what they say that they implemented for Artsakhians, are totally didn't work, because Artsakhians so far don't have houses, don't have jobs, don't have any judicial status what they can use here. They say this government make the I think largest violation of human rights in Armenia when they annul our citizenship of Armenia. During these 30 years, Artsakhians have been citizens of Armenia. In no one country it was under question. In no one country. Only in Armenia, after 2023, it became the question that we are not the citizens of Armenia. And now Artsakhians are, many people of us couldn't bring with them their documents from Artsakh. The situation, it was not, they hadn't time even to go to home to bring something, especially in villages, in Artsakhian villages. After the 2020 war, the border became very close to their homes. And when war started, they just went to the forests and couldn't have time to take any documents. And now they are go door to door in many state institutions to find their documents, to restore their documents. And that's why people are just wanted to finish everything what have here and want to left. But at the same time, for us, for example, for Armenian Strong Armenian Party, it is the priority to create the conditions which Artsakhians stay in Armenia as a community. We want to bring and keep their language, our language. We have specific dialect in Artsakh. And after 2 or 3 generations, if we talk with each other with our language, it will disappear. So if we live together, if we have our society in one place, it will work very well to keep our identity, our subculture, etc. So this, for us as a Strong Armenian Party, is priority.
It's very convenient, right, for Pashinyan to annul those passports for all those refugees, claiming that they are not citizens of Armenia and they can't vote unless they change their passports. What's interesting is that one of the members of this government, there are many examples, but one of the members of this government, Armen Grigoryan, who is the head of the Security Council, he is an Artsakhtsi, I'm ashamed to say, and he's quoted in interviews saying that he voted in the 2018 elections. He not only voted, he's occupying high office in Armenia, being an Artsakhtsi.
He's from Marduni, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
He's
know
from
how many
Artsakh.
Yeah. Do you know how many Artsakhtsis today have changed their passports? Even though at one point I was thinking that they should resist as much as possible because that's one like sort of the remnant of their statehood and identity. But I think that you cannot vote unless you do that. So is Strong Armenia doing any campaigns to help people with from Artsakh to change their passports so they can vote in the elections?
Very good topic. I will go to the details, sorry, but it is very important, and I know the details regarding that. I would like to share with you. When Artsakhians came to forcibly displaced from Artsakh and came to Armenia, it was not the time about documents. Everyone was in the hard psychology situation, etc. And later, when they start already looking for jobs, etc., they understand they need documents, and all of us became refugees suddenly in our homeland. And there were so many lies regarding citizenship, lies about, they say that if you take citizenship, you will not allow to go back to Artsakh. I don't know from where they bring this, or if you take citizenship, you will not allow to give some assistance from abroad, which came to Artsakhians, etc. I
Wow.
was, because there were so many myths which regarding the citizenship, and people were just misled and didn't understand what is going on, what they should do, what they should not do, etc. Later, when everything became already understandable, that there will not be any block when they retake, I always say retake Armenian citizenship if we go to Artsakh, or they will continue to have some assistance from abroad coming and some very small state support, financial support, which we had many times before. Now they say that if you take Armenian citizenship, after only 6 months, you will allow to go to vote. It is again lie, because after one day, if you had the citizenship, you can go and you can vote. There are so many misunderstandings regarding this, and I believe that it is done by purpose. They don't want Artsakhians to go to vote, because you know that Artsakhians are mainly opposition to this government, and they have right to be opposition, basis to be opposition for this government. And what is the last point for this all tragedy? We have people who apply for citizenship, if I'm not mistaken, in September or in October, and so far they don't grant this citizenship to
So they're delaying.
Artsakhians,
Yeah.
delaying again and again. But in the very beginning, they declared that Artsakhians will have the citizenship in extraordinary way, in a very quick way, in a very short time. But even it is not in a short time. By law, we should have during 2 months. But people applied in October, in September, and so far they delay and delay again and don't give our citizenship.
So it's clearly designed so that Artsakh Armenians cannot vote in the upcoming elections.
Majority, yes. Unfortunately, majority, yes, because if I'm not mistaken, so far we have like 30,000 Armenian Artsakhians who take citizenship, but we have also about 40,000 who apply, but so far don't have citizenship.
So is the number approximately 30,000 who can vote? today?
Yes, 30,000 who can. No, let's say that maybe, but yes, 30,000 can vote. Yes.
Okay. Where would you put their level of motivation to actually go to the ballot and vote?
Because people won't change, really. People can't go through these 30 years in the cycle of the same names. The same names comes in this cycle and during these 30 years, and people just not only need change. And for me, specifically, personally for me, if you ask about me also as Artsakhian, I want to have my input in this change by just signing in one paper. It is the easiest thing for me also in that period to do. And I think that Artsakhians also, majority, want to their voices be heard and their sign in this paper who have any kind of impact of the Armenian future.
Would you say a high percentage of the 30,000 would vote?
I'm more than sure that the majority will vote to opposition. To whom it is already about a few numbers, but majority will vote for opposition.
Some political parties are suggesting that we close the page on our history. Let's not worry about what happened yesterday and let's move forward, all happy and friendly. There will be no Artsakh, there will be no nothing. There's this concept of real Armenia and
there will be no
Pashinyan.
Armenia without Pashinyan.
That's
Yes.
right. Nikol Pashinyan has a pin, and that's what he's peddling. Can you tell us what Strong Armenia's position is on Artsakh, and how would you plan to achieve that vision?
Yeah. Just a short comment. You remember that in 2018, when Pashinyan came to the power, he said that there will be no prime minister if it will not be him, Pashinyan. Now time comes to whole Armenia. He said that there will be no Armenia without him. But I think that we will have Armenia without Pashinyan, and Armenia will be strong without Pashinyan. Our position regarding Artsakh issue, the page of Artsakh doesn't belong to one single person. One single person can't open and close our historical pages. Artsakh movement was the movement of all Armenians in Artsakh, in Armenia, and diaspora. So he can't close any kind of our historical pages. He also now trying to close the page of genocide too. So he can't do it because it belongs to whole Armenian nation. Regarding our position of Strong Armenia specifically, Artsakh is always in the core of our party. I am Artsakhian, I am member of this party, and I am in the high numbers of this. And my background, I am always talking about Artsakh, about Artsakhian people rights, etc. So it means something that I am here in this party. But at the same time, we should see the reality. Now, Artsakh is our pain. Artsakh, it is us. But we can't talk now in a realistic way about the return to our Artsakh if we have Aliyev there. If we had any chance to stay in Artsakh under Aliyev, we would stay. Yes, we didn't go out from Artsakh. Only 10 or 20, 15 people stayed in Artsakh after our forcefully displacement, and even today them couldn't
They
go
left.
on. Yeah, they left. It means that it is impossible to live under Aliyev control in Artsakh. So for us now, as I mentioned before, it is critical to have Artsakhians in Armenia, to bring them dignified life here, dignified conditions to live here, and don't live, to have our community here, to be as a kind of subject of international community also, because when you can love very much Artsakh, you can love very much Armenia. It's also, but when we speak about the our demands or our rights or our everything regarding Artsakh, no one country will speak more, but Armenian government. Armenian government should talk the most about Artsakhians. So we should be in Armenia to bring such a government who speak about Artsakhians.
If there was a strong Armenia government in Armenia after June, is there anything on the agenda to negotiate a mass right of return for Artsakh Armenians back to their native lands?
Look, we as a party say that when we come to power, we will not annul any document signed before us. We will not start our foreign policy from 0 point, as it was declared. For example, this government who came to the power said that we are starting our foreign policy from the 0 point, because we are much serious regarding our future of Armenia. We want our partners, international partners, see us as a responsible part. But at the same time, there are some documents that are pre-signed, but not final document. They are just the frame on which the negotiations is going on. And we say that we will take into account these documents and we will keep this framework, and we will do our negotiations taking as a base our national interests.
What is Strong Armenia's position on our hostages and prisoners in Baku? Because we know, I mean, Azerbaijan is controlled by a dictator. Is there anything that the future Armenian government can do to help bring our heroes, our prisoners back? And I noticed this subtext in Pashinyan propaganda now, that this is now an issue between Russia and Azerbaijan, and Armenia is no longer involved. So if they were to return any people, it would be to Russia. How can Strong Armenia engage international partners to to put pressure on Azerbaijan to release our prisoners?
Regarding our prisoners in Baku, I was the first organizer of the first protest when they were jailed in and brought to Baku. I was the organizer of the first protest in Armenia in front of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, where I have been working before. Because for us, it is about our dignity. For me, especially as an Artsakhian, it is really. It doesn't matter to whom I vote before, I like them or not. Our political persons who are now in Baku. It is not about that. It is about and they don't care about their personalities. Like they talk about their positions, what they held in Karabakh. I mean, they want to do so that no one else, after many years will take the responsibility to be at the same positions. Actually, the same happened in 1915 on April 24. What happened in Ottoman Empire when they wanted to cut our leaderships in Western Armenia. So the same happened in Artsakh. So it is the matter of our dignity to return them to home. And our leader, Samvel Karapetyan, already declared that when we win these elections, these prisoners, they will come back to home. It is possible. It is possible because it is the issue of humanity. It is a humanitarian issue. It is not about the lands. It is not about the return, etc., etc. It is a humanitarian issue, and I think if we push a lot in international community, in our negotiations with Azerbaijan, in our negotiations with major powers, we can come to the point that there will also pressure to Azerbaijan to bring these prisoners to home.
Arega, one part of Pashinyan's big peace plan is the Trump route, the TRIPP project. This is really the same thing as Turkish-Azerbaijani Zangezur Corridor. So while it's being pitched as a regional connectivity, in reality, it only provides connectivity between Turkey and Azerbaijan. And that comes, of course, at the expense of Armenia's sovereignty. Now, Arega Hovsepyan from Strong Armenia has actually said that TRIPP can work, but it must come with some security guarantees. Can you tell us how this is going to work? How can TRIPP be transformed from the Zangezur Corridor into a real connectivity that is beneficial for Armenia as well?
Yes, we, as I mentioned also before, that we are not going to annul any document signed before us, and the TRIPP is included. We see such kind of opportunities in the framework of the TRIPP, but also we see some risks, and we consider that there should be strong negotiator who can push Armenian interests, national interests, not the interest to keep own chair. So we think that we are now in weak position. Let's speak frankly. Armenia now is in a weak position. And when you are weak, you need some kind of strong and big brother and brothers who will come to help you. In TRIPP now, we have United States, who is the witness. He's even now not the guarantor, but he is the witness. In the document, it is written that he is the witness of this process. So we consider that maybe it will be beneficial for all parts of this process be engaged and to be in this different positions. One should be guarantor, another should be guarantor, because we see what happened when we depend on only one guarantor. We see what happened, because what happening with this one guarantor in other places, it comes to your own head. It's come to your own head because you are totally depend on the one guarantor. We see that we need more than two guarantors of our whole integrational processes, not only TRIPP, but we also think that we need guarantors or in our negotiations with Azerbaijan. We had, for example, mediators during these 30 years, the OSCE Minsk group, and through which we could negotiate with Azerbaijan. And it was successful enough that during these 30 years, we had Artsakh, we had Artsakhians living in Artsakh. So it means that if we look in the whole process, we can't talk with Azerbaijan just in direct way. because now we are not strong. We need some guarantors, we need some mediators.
Arega, let me follow up on that one. That's a very interesting thing you're saying. If you are talking about guarantors, who would you see as providing these security guarantees, especially since Pashinyan and Aliyev have annulled the OSCE Minsk group? So there's no international group that is really mediating in an impartial way anymore. So that is gone. Am I understanding that Strong Armenia advocates the return of some kind of a multiple international powers who would be the guarantors? And how would they guarantee the security of the Trump corridor, basically, or the Zangezur Corridor, or the Trump route, whatever it's going to be called?
Look, what we have now. Now we have weak Armenia and Azerbaijan, which is in the highest, strongest position, which they didn't have during these 30 years. Having Nikol Pashinyan in Armenia is just a dream for Azerbaijanis and Nikol Pashinyan, and they have it now. We say that we should take into account our regional countries too, which as a guarantors of our processes which is going on with Azerbaijan, because we can't just say that we don't care about them. We just go and negotiate with them directly. We should also take into account our regional countries. We should take into account our major powers in the international sphere. So we say that we don't mention any specific country. We should come to and aware about all documents which are published, which are not published. We should understand what is in the reality, but our position is the same, that we need other guarantors too, to be not dependent only to one guarantor.
Arega, can I just interject one question here? I mean, we are, of course, in the middle of a war in the region, and I mean, TRIPP is a U.S. project. The agreement is between the Armenian government and the U.S. Do you see the U.S. ever agreeing to expand regional participation and guarantees to Iran, who has militarily almost threatened the project, to Russia, who has said that this project is going to disrupt regional power balance since 1828? Both those countries, which are traditionally the friends of Armenians, and some would say that the only reason why Syunik is still in Armenian hands is because of Iran. How is that going to work? I'm just like, are US and Iranian forces going to side by side patrol the Zangezur Corridor? I'm sorry, or the TRIPP. I'm sorry for asking such a simple question, but I'm just really curious about this.
Yes, yes. I will bring the same example what I brought before. Countries which you mentioned, Russia, US, at least after the collapse of USSR, have been in the different parts and in the different stages. But we Armenians could manage to create Minsk, to be in the part of the Minsk group, and Russia, US, and France, who were co-chairs of Minsk group, could find kind of common stage to talk about Nagorno-Karabakh issue. You remember, you know, that it is not the first time that Russia and the US are contrary. During the 30 years, they also were contrary. But in Karabakh issue, we could have some kind of platform where they can talk, where they created the platform for us, for Armenians and Azerbaijanis, to come and to talk. So it is about diplomacy. It is about the art of diplomacy. Even when we remember and now we had strong sanctions on Iran. But for Armenian, and in previous government, when I have been working in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we could manage to talk with US, to talk with Europeans, to make them understand that for Armenia, it is impossible to close the border with Iran and say that we are not going to engage with you in economic ways, etc., because we already have two closed borders. So it is about our diplomacy way how we can talk. And again, I'm more than sure that there can be some kind of other documents too which are not published, and so actually it is normal in diplomatic processes when some papers are just on the process in negotiations. We should understand the meaning of that document and understand how we are going to do so.
All right, let's talk about elections. According to various different polls, Strong Armenia at least has enough of a rating to clear the threshold, the legally mandated threshold for alliances or electoral blocks in Armenia with 3 or more parties in it is 10%. And according to all the polls, Strong Armenia is either at 10% or even higher. I'm going to quote one poll, which is MPG that we looked at, and Strong Armenia is currently at 13%. Of course, civil contracts is at 24%. And there are other polls that give similar percentage points for Strong Armenia. So the point I'm making is that it seems that there's a strong opportunity for a coalition government to form, a minority coalition, that would remove Pashinyan from power. First of all, let me ask, do you agree with the MPG rating of 13%? Is it higher, and by how much? And yeah, how do you perceive the position of Strong Armenia right now?
Yeah. Look, we have now, especially, and as closer we are to elections, these polls became more and more, many types of polls in Armenia. Some are respectful, of course, organizations. Some are not, even we don't know who is going to organize these polls, etc. But for us, just these polls, just something that we take into account, but we continue our schedule and our plan. We don't want to be dependent on any number of any poll. But also, I am engaged in a different our processes. I went the specific region in Armenia almost each day, and we have meetings with citizens. We are walking in the streets, talk with citizens, etc. And we also have our own opinion and own polls on which we also look at. So, but at the same time, as I said, we don't want to be dependent on any kind of poll, but we have some kind of already results on which we can say that the point of Nikol Pashinyan almost during this last time is the same. It is not going down, it is not going very high, because it is his peak on which he can he won't.
Yeah,
But
it's a ceiling essentially for him.
yes. But what about Strong Armenia? It became higher, and in 1 month it is higher lots of. 1 month it's not lots of. It means that we have potential. We are new. We have potential, and it depends on us how we are working to make people understand our programs, our positions, etc. So of course now we already don't have time. Even I just think that these 6 months is just like flew like the bird. So these 40 days which we have, it's already no time. But we work not each day, but each hour, really, because we want one single party win, Strong Armenian party win. It is our aim. We are ready, as I said, mentioned before, we are ready for all scenarios, but our plan is to win and have majority in National Assembly.
Arega, you mentioned that you have your own polls and opinions. Does Strong Armenia actually do its own sociological poll? In which case, are you free to share what your numbers are showing your popularity levels are currently in the country?
You know, as I mentioned, we make our polls also when we went to the regions, not only in Yerevan, but also to the regions. So we come and we brought all together, because not only me and our other members also is going to the regions and make our pre-election processes, etc. So we bring all these numbers each day almost and understand what situation we have in reality. Of course, there are other academic polls, etc. But for me, really, it is the most realistic and real number when I go to the street and speak with common people and that are going out of my bubble. Because of course I am in my family, I am with my relatives, everyone is for our party, everyone is for our opposition. But I don't want to make my opinion based on this bubble. I want to go out from this bubble, and each day almost we do the same, and we have some positive results.
Okay, one more question on this whole poll thing. There's most of the polls that we've seen indicate a very high level of disengagement. There are many people who say they are not going to be participating. There are many people who say they don't care, that they will not vote for anybody. So there's a large potential here to attract a lot of people. And you were saying that Strong Armenia is going up and up. So you believe that the ceiling is a lot higher. How are you planning to engage those people who are currently disenfranchised? They are not participating in the political process to come in and vote for you?
Excellent question, because really for us, the first priority is to bring these neutral people to come to vote, because this number of people is very big. Just even based on some numbers, I will not give the number, but just the concept. In the places where the activity of voters is high, position is in a good position. Where the activity is low, Nikol Pashinyan's position is well. It means that the majority of people who don't go to vote are potentially opposition. It means that we lose this part of population, because they are potentially opposition people, but they don't go to vote because they don't believe, or for example, there are many reasons that they won't for example, believe to anyone. They don't believe that anyone can bring changes, etc. For us, energizing these people is priority, as they say, and in our strategy, it is in the first level. But we want these people to understand that if you don't go to vote, it means directly that you vote for Pashinyan. If you don't go, or if you go and just don't vote for anyone, and just don't make something with your pen in the paper and don't vote for anyone, it is also means that you vote for Pashinyan.
Because they vote for status quo.
Yes. So and when you say that you don't want Pashinyan too, you don't want another person too, and you don't go to vote, it means that you are for Pashinyan. We try to bring this simple concept to persons who are from this part of our society, who say that we will not go to vote.
So if you don't get majority, will you commit to forming a coalition with other opposition forces in order to displace Pashinyan. How serious is this risk? Because I think that if there is no coalition, then second round happens, and I think in that case things may be more advantageous for Pashinyan. I'm not sure, but I ask because we have this. We have this experience of seeing opposition parties infighting with each other, especially the Republican Party and
Second and third presidents.
yeah, second and third presidents, and it seems like more personal than political. Actually, it seems 99% personal, but will Strong Armenia, join coalition with anyone, or who wouldn't you join a coalition with, if you can say it like that?
Look, now we already have alliance with new small parties in Armenian society. So they are not very famous, but they are very professional parties, and we have alliance with them. We have no any kind of arrogance regarding this that we will not go to alliance with other parties, but we say that we will go to the alliance with new parties, not parliamentary parties. So it is our position from the very beginning until now. Regarding after elections, yes, you mean after elections, where
Yeah,
if
so
we
after
don't have enough,
elections, yeah,
if
exactly.
we don't have enough votes. Look, already we have very important announcements from second president's party, and they declared that they will give their votes to the party who gets most votes in the position. We have already their announcement regarding that, and so far, based on polls, the party from opposition who will get most votes is Strong Armenia.
Yeah.
So it is kind of already concept which is creating now, but we as Strong Armenian Party declare that we are going to win by ourselves. What will happen later? We say that we have all scenarios, but for us, the plan A is that.
Last question, I think, or maybe last few questions. Strong Armenia says that Samvel Karapetyan is going to be your prime minister's candidate. Yet we know that Armenian law prohibits dual citizens. I believe he's a citizen of Armenia and Russia, minimum, um, from holding high positions. There may also be a residency requirement currently. That I'm not sure if that's correct, but I've seen articles about that. So, given all of this, can you tell us how Samvel Karapetyan will be the next prime minister?
Look, we are very sincere with our population. We say yes. Now it is not possible for Samvel Karapetyan to be prime minister. But our candidate for prime minister Samvel Karapetyan, and when we win, the first thing what we will do is the change in one single technical issue in our constitution, which will allow Samvel Karapetyan be prime minister, and we, as the majority in parliament, we will vote for Samvel Karapetyan. This is the concept. We say that yes, we understand the law and everything, but at the same time, we are totally sincere and frank with our population, saying that we will change the single point in constitution, which is banned for Samvel Karapetyan now to be prime minister. And if we vote for us, it means that you vote for this change, what we are going to do in constitution, because you vote for Samvel Karapetyan as a prime minister, and you want him to be prime minister, and there's just a technical issue which we need to change, and it will be the first thing what we will do as a government.
So, it's a constitutional law that the parliament itself can change, right? You don't have to go to a referendum.
No. It is technical issue. It is not only about one point in constitution, and based on constitution, we can change it in National Assembly.
How many votes do you need to change that? What percentage of votes do you need?
Two-thirds.
Two-thirds.
Two-thirds, yes.
So let's say, hypothetically speaking, if all of the opposition unites and wants Samvel Karapetyan to be the prime minister, Nikol Pashinyan has to win less than 1/3 of the vote, right? Because if he wins more than 30% or 33.3%, then they would be able to block this from happening.
Yes, that means that we need to work 24/7 regime.
And I'm just curious, I know that other parties are open to a coalition, but will other parties agree? Because they now have leverage over you, right? Because will other parties agree for Samvel Karapetyan to be the prime minister, or maybe they can negotiate some concessions from you from that perspective?
Other parties already declared that
Yeah.
they will give their votes to the party who will get more votes.
Okay.
So it is already the base of this process.
All right. Arega-Jan, thank you so much. We hope it's not the last time that we talk to you, but this was a very interesting discussion. We're happy to see you in politics and wish you a lot of success in the June elections.
Thank you very much. Thank you for invitation. And I believe that our people is strong enough to go to change which has come, and we want our life be changed. And after 7th of June, we will have another Armenian. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's a wrap, folks. This was another Groong podcast, and we recorded it on April 28, 2026. Our guest was Arega Hovsepyan, an Artsakh-born public and political figure, a member of Strong Armenia Party, a candidate for the parliament, and a former president of the Armenian Center for Political Rights. You can learn more about her bio by going to our show notes, podcasts.groong.org/episode number.
Please don't forget to support us by subscribing to our channel on YouTube, Substack, and Apple Podcasts. Share our shows with your circles and like our shows. And of course, we want to hear your feedback, so comment on our shows on YouTube and Substack. I'm Asbet Bedrosyan.
And I'm Hovik Manusharyan. Until next time.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.